Hello, hello. We are live. Hello. I am so excited to be here. Today, I have an amazing guest. We are focusing on chiropractors today, chiropractic practice. And today we have I didn't put it in your name, Eric Dawtrey. And thank you so much for joining us. I know that one of a lot of different things that you've done is you've grown one of your practices to over 2 million. I think that is something that a lot of people are going to want to hear about, but in the title, I said the secrets to it. So if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, your businesses, and then we'll dive into some of your hot secrets.
Perfect. Yeah. So I do a lot of businesses, but Chiro is my main business. That's my profession. That's what I'm in. So you mentioned the practice that I work in. So we hit 2.2 million with that one. I had two other practices going as well. I've sold those off and they were on the million mark both. I have a restaurant as well, a cafe more so, and a media company. So, but the main focus is Chiro. That's where my passion is. That's where I spend my time. Okay. So I'll go into, how my personal feelings of how you build a large practice. Okay. There's multiple ways to do it. No doubt. It's not the only way, but I think people get hung up on basic the structure of the business and not how they function personally in business. And I think they have to really dive into themselves and take responsibility for your business and take responsibility whether it fails or grows. A lot of people tend to push off and blame outside sources like the community or the medical field or competition, and really it comes down to how bad you want it and if you're going to go out and get it and then what you're going to do that. So first and foremost, I always tell people, when I was a student, I've been doing this 23 years now. When I was a student, they told me to do a vision statement, mission statement. I thought they were crazy. What's this? I wrote mine down as fast as possible, whatever.
I love that. People think it's cheesy.
Yeah, honestly, right? And then as I grow and got older in business, I realized that is your map. So you will not get to your destination without a map. Lay your map out. Your vision and your mission is your destiny and how you're going to get there. So lay the map out or you'll never get there. And then sit down and take it seriously, like really go deep into it. So people write a fluffy kind of vision or mission of what they want to do. And you have to go to the next layer down and really ask yourself, what truly do I want to do? And that what lines up with your personality or your values or your belief. Okay. Because if you're trying to copy someone else or mimic someone that you think is successful, then you're probably going to fail because it doesn't align with who you are and your values. So look at those and put those, make sure your mission goes with that. Okay. And then focus on that. So you got to get very strong with your message, which is your mission. And you got to get so strong with it that you're exuding it everywhere you go. Then you have to have your staff exuding it. So they're trained on it and they also have to agree with it. If you have staff that doesn't believe in what you're doing, you're in trouble out of the gate. You'd be better.
I love that.
You'll be better off to get rid of them until you find someone that it aligns with and they truly believe in it themselves. And that doesn't mean that there isn't people that have different tasks in your office. That means they have to be able to communicate, your mission, your message. And then your entire office should also exude that message. Everywhere people go, they should be inundated with your message. So you got to stay on target, right? So
hold on, I want to pause you. I pause you real quick. So I love what you're saying right here, because I think that a lot of businesses, when they first start off, they start off because somebody is really great at something, like you're really great at being a chiropractor. But when they get into it, they realize if they want to start their own practice, they realize, okay, there's this whole other world that I have nothing to do with. That's business, right?
That's right.
And to really get it all going. And so what happens is they hire people that say, oh, I can, help your chiropractic business because I can do all of these like chiropractic system type stuff. And what you're saying is it's not really, I mean, obviously you want that, right? I mean, you can buy that quickly and move on. But it's not the core of what's really going to be your business, build your business, and make a strong business. And what you're going into right now is really where it's at. I mean, that's really what people need to start thinking about and paying attention to. It's what I do with my clients. I'm a consultant. It's what I do with my clients too, because if they can't differentiate themselves on that message, and if they, as the leader of their company, cannot make sure that the entire company or practice is on board with it, you're going nowhere. You know, like a
Yeah.
tail,
Yeah.
a dog chasing his tail.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. So
Exactly.
what's your next one? Your next one is just as
So
important.
yeah, you get into your message, okay? Then you got to organize and prioritize, because what you just spoke about, all these different systems and so forth, actually do play an important role, but they aren't what you should be focused solely on. They are supporting your message. Okay. So you organize. What do you have to do? You have to have recall systems, reactivation systems, staff procedures, all of that. So, you know, a lot of people get hung up and doing all this themselves. This is where I talk about compressing time. So you want to compress time on all this stuff and utilize people to supply that stuff. Okay. So I would go out and pay for those things and have someone that's been successful at it, a mentor, whatever, give you that stuff. You know, at the time years ago, I used David Singer. You know, there used to be DeMartini. There's Mike Reed. All these guys. You know, a lot of times we look at this stuff, say, "Oh, I've got to buy it," but really, you're looking for office procedures to put in place that go with your message. You have to line yourself with who you want to utilize. Don't spend all of your time in the minutia stuff. Compress your time, get that stuff done quickly. You have to learn it, you have to understand it, and your staff has to learn it, but it gives them direction and it gives them stages. So that's your organizing. When I talk about prioritizing, if you don't prioritize on high priority things and delegate low priority things, you are burning time and you're wasting time and you're not getting your message out. Your high priority should be getting your message. Your high priority should be networking, getting in front of people. And that is personally through what we're doing now, social media, through your website. All that stuff has to be in place. That's high priority. Make sure it's done.
So let's talk about that a little bit,
Delegate.
because I know relationships is one of your big
Yeah.
things, right?
Huge. Yeah, must. I'm talking to you. I mean, I don't typically would be on social media so much in the sense of personally, but this, look how many followers you have. I have just connected with all those people. I'm communicating with them, and now you're communicating with everyone following me. We've never had this opportunity in the history of our profession to communicate with so many like-minded people ever in the history of our profession, which is what really excites me right now, because we can start utilizing this stuff to really push our message. And we really have to unite as a chiropractic profession to send out our message. I see a lot of chiropractors lost in different directions. I run large multidisciplinary clinics. People mistake that as selling out on chiropractic. When I am in my office with people, I am talking chiropractic with them, right? The other professionals are doing their thing, which basically help what I'm trying to do. Or else, you know, people are silly. I've got, you know, one office, I've got two other chiros, I've got three physios, I've got three massage, I've got Chinese medicine, I've had orthopedic surgeons, I got sports medicine doctors. That's traffic walking in front of me, exposed to me every day, and I'm telling them my message right in front of the orthopedic surgeon. People are nervous to do that. No, this is where people get lost. They get lost in their own fears. So I'll get back to that, but people walking in front of you is always the best way, because you gain a trust immediately when you're honest with them, and you're honest with yourself, and you're honest with your message. Chiros have got lost in this, and they're, you know, selling this modality, that modality. They're useful. I'm not saying they're not, but we turn into salesmen and we lose track of what the message of chiropractic is and how it can help people. So, you know, I want to kind of go back to high priority things. If you're lost in doing low priority things constantly, then you're going to burn a lot of time. And when I say low priority things, a lot of people think like meaningless jobs, like, you know, doing, you know, filing, things like that. Of course we have to give that off, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about high priority to your values, to your message. You sit down and look at those and say, this is where I want to spend my time. And then you hire people that other priorities in the office need to be done, but it's high on their list. So someone, a secretary or CA should say, her high priority might be doing paperwork and motor vehicle accident paperwork and workman's comp paperwork, and she loves that. I have a person, like, she begs me to give that. My other CAs just like detest it. Like, don't give it to me. Don't give it to me. I'm like, here, Tara, that's yours. You know what I mean? And she's just waiting for it. That's a high priority for her. She's going to excel at that job, right? You put people with on a job that doesn't align with their high priority, that job's not getting done well. So I'm not talking about minutia tasks. I'm talking about finding people that you specify certain jobs for that is high priority to them personally. They will exceed at that job. And you stick to what your high priority, because if you're doing low priority all the time, you're not going to enjoy your day. It's going to be miserable because you're going to say, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. No, give the low priority to other people. That's their high
And
priority.
you're really not advancing your business if you're doing the day to day. You really need to be up here,
Yeah.
delegating and
Yeah.
figuring out what that high level thinking is. Like you said, the philosophy, the vision, the mission, you
Yeah.
need to be over that part and kind of,
I think
disseminating that.
I think we'll get into what you're talking about actually when we talk about what limits us. And that is actually a form of procrastination. So we'll kind of get into that. Keeping busy with busy work is fear, is procrastination, it's avoiding what you should be doing basically. So um, that's part of why people fail, and that's a personal thing. All right. So I go through the message, I go through organize, prioritize, and then what I think is really where people really fail, because everyone can sit down and write their message, everyone can organize their office, everyone can hire people, and then you get to the commit and massive action, 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 and this is where we're just talking about procrastination. People sit in their office and look out the window and go, why aren't people coming through my door? And you are not taking action. That's a personal fear usually. Something's blocking you there, and you have to take action. So that comes to the networking, right? That should be a high priority for every chiropractor. If you're not personally connecting with people, you're not going to do that sitting in your office. You got to get out in the community. You got to put your social media together. You got to get your web together. You got to take action on all of this stuff. And all of it should be focused on how am I getting my message to people? And that doesn't mean sell it, jam it down their throat. We were talking about that earlier. It literally means being honest with people, getting your passion across and what you believe in, because people can't deny or tell you you're wrong if you're completely passionate and dedicated to something. I used to have people say, I don't believe in what you do. I said, I'm not a religion. I'm not to be believed. Like, but people, and then I would tell them, I go, you're my favorite patient. And they would look at me confused and say, why? I said, because when I actually help you after you've been to everything else, they say, I've tried everything and I don't really believe what I'm doing, but my cousin dragged me here. I light up. I'm like, oh, this, here we go. And I'm like, you're going to be my best patient, because after you fix them and they've been to 10 other things, they're blown
Yeah,
away. Yeah, they're the biggest voice. So your worst client day one is usually your best client after you service them, right? So I don't look at those. Like, a lot of people get offended, a lot of people get backed up, and then they actually stall. And I dive into that. I'm like, no, this is going to be one of my best clients, right? As long as you serve them well. Okay.
So let's talk about that. So lean in a little bit is where you're going with that one, right? So lean into like maybe something that normally you might be a little bit fearful of, like a client that might not want to work with you. Lean into that.
Yeah.
Another place that I think that you're strong is leaning into networking with some other people that are not chiropractors, but could be
Yeah.
somewhere in your line. You want to go towards that for a minute?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go back to when I was a student. So, I came out of school, and for some of us, that's a long time ago. Other ones, you'll be new. And I will guarantee you right now, and the world's changed a little bit, but back when I came out of school to 2001 type of thing, chiropractic and medical was very divided. You know, um, chiros didn't talk to medical doctors, vice versa. They're starting to change a little bit, a little more education, a little more patients demanding it, things like that. The media, everything's changing. But when I came out, it was almost like doctors are toxic and chiros, we don't talk to them, they hurt people. So, as a young person, like, people see me now and they'll be like, okay, no big deal. But coming out of school, I set up my practice, and there was a medical office down the hall, and they wouldn't speak to me. Um, I sent a letter down saying I'm new to the building, I've opened a clinic, blah blah, no response. But then I watched all day drug reps going in there, providing lunch for the staff and having meetings and talking. And I'd see them in the parking lot with their bag of, stuff coming in. And I go, man, these guys come every day. So I went to, well, basically I got out a map. There was no phones back in the day with Google Maps. I got out a map and I drew out every medical office in the city. And then I went and knocked on doors, and I didn't really say what I was doing, but I said I'd like to do a lunch and learn in their office. They thought I was drug rep, and I would, ask how many staff, food allergies, all this, get how many people in the office. I'd supply lunch, walk in, and then educate them on what I did. But the doctors would come in and say, "Who do you represent?" Thinking it was going to be a drug company. I say, "Well, my name's Dr. Dawtrey, and I'm a chiropractor." And they'd be throwing back like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm here to talk about my office and what service I can provide your patients." And sure. Did that resonate with every medical doctor? Absolutely not. I've had the gamut of people, basically like, I'm not dealing with you. And I've had other people, which, believe it or not, again, when you're honest and direct, it actually opened up dialogue and they became interested in what you do. And one doc told me, he said, the reason we don't send to you guys is it's a big black hole of what's going on out there, and we're responsible for our patients. And now that you tell me how your office operates, then I have no issue using you. So at the time, I probably had about 8 to 10 docs start referring to my clinic. And then at one point I was treating 4 or 5 medical doctors in my office. They'd come see me for treatment. That was a little bit of, a couple of them were, as kids, had chiropractic and they were a little more open, which is why they had dialogue right away. And others were just, patients started coming back with good results. And next thing you know, and one doc, I treated his wife after a car accident.
And your lunch and learns, did they work?
Well, that's where the relationship started. And then they started
Exactly.
actually referring patients. Then they got confidence in my results. And then they started coming for treatment or referring more patients, right? So I left them referral pads in their office, with all the basic stuff you need to do. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I can tell them that part. But then my confidence built and built and built. And then after that, because I had rehab center, I had some orthopedic surgeons that I had gone and approached to build an office. So a lot of people wouldn't do that. Then, a drug company that did visco supplementation injections came in and started realizing, like, I would go for lunch with them and they were talking about, us using their product. And the main salesman who had been doing it he was an older gentleman, probably like 40 years, said, the way you talk about stuff, can you come and lecture to surgeons for me for our company? And we'll pay for their accreditation. Like, what we do is we do a dinner with surgeons. We pay for their accreditation and we have to supply a speaker. And then, we basically say it's sponsored by the drug company. And that's kind of our sales pitch to the surgeons. So I would go in 20, 30 orthopedic surgeons and do a lecture.
Nice.
Right. So again, ask how many chiropractors are going to put themselves in that spot. You want to talk about leaning into fear. I'm going, okay, these guys, to me, underneath neurosurgeons, are the top dogs on the food chain, and I'm lecturing to them and housing questions from them, right? And then the salesman, he would always come and just say, I can't believe how you held that room. Like, these guys were intrigued, they were interested, they were asking you questions, and then after, they wanted to talk with you personally. He's like, I've been doing this for 40 years. And he goes, it's incredible. But I just said, look at it. Again, I look at people, everyone's equal. It doesn't matter what your career is, how much money you have, what this is that. We're all doing a service. We're all getting through life here. And when you put people on pedestals, that's where your fear comes from. That stops you. When you bring them down to your level and say, they're just educated differently than me. Patients will tell me, oh my God, how do you know where the pain is or this? I say, I just know where the wires run. I'm like an electrician for the body. You know what I mean? It's not any different. And I'm not better than the plumber. I'm not better than the garbage man, and the surgeon's not better than me or the plumber. We all do things on this planet. So when you start seeing everyone as equal, you start speaking to them equal, people respect that immediately. Right. And
I think, let me just jump in real quick. I think that is huge, is the confidence. And to build that confidence, you need to take the action. You have to start moving forward, maybe just grin and bear it. Like my mom used to say, pinch your butt, just get through that.
Yeah.
get through that first initial part.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be pretty. Not everybody's going to love you and want what you have. And you're going to have to get through a lot of that. Especially, but the more you speak, the more dialed in your message becomes. The more people you now have to, be able to go back to or refer you or, bounce ideas off of. I mean, maybe it's never something like maybe the salesman never came in as a patient, but he was a great person to have on your, on your list or whatever, because he referred you to this thing and got you speaking gigs in front of 40 or 50 people.
Well, now I meet surgeons all the time, and I'm going to the hospital after and meeting them in the fracture clinic and having business conversations with them that I have a door, right?
Exactly.
You need to put in the door, and then you need to act. So action is number one. It's the number one reason for failure. It's the number one reason people don't get. It's also where people get limited. You can build $100,000 clinic. You can build a 200, a 300, and all of a sudden you plateau, and you're like, why? Well, you got comfortable. So you did all your action to get to 300,000. And then you're like, why isn't it? I'm stuck here. Okay. Well, yeah, you have to get new actions. You're just doing the same thing over and over, right? But you're doing what you're comfortable. And that comfortable is providing 300,000. Well, I've hit 2.2. Then there's going to be someone that I have to go talk to because they hit 4 or 5, right? I can't plateau there. I have to go to somebody that knows more than me, right? And there's always someone that knows more. So, when we stop looking at that, that's when we're in trouble. And that networking, you also get that because people tend to network with people that they're going to gain from financially, but sometimes you have to network with people, your mentors and things like that are actually going to live little tidbits for you to learn off, right? And little things they're doing, it all helps. So it's a massive problem with the chiropractic profession. We're all very individual. We came out of school and we set up our own little practice. We stay small. We want to do everything ourselves. We're like, I can fix everything. I'm going to do everything. I'm by myself. I'm going to market it. No, you have to network, hands down. And to network, you have to take action.
And that kind of goes towards that fear as well. Like that's a big problem, is that they don't necessarily want to network with other people because they're afraid that, then their clients are going to go there instead of there. But a lot of times, like you said, you've built a network where the clients or the patients or whatever will be able to go to several of the people for different things. That's education and confidence.
Yeah. And I told you when I started, again, I had for some reason the confidence to refer out. That again, a lot will see like, oh, this person's not responding. So I had a couple things where I'm like, this is actually going to respond better to physio. I sent to a physio. So I sent 3 patients, and all 3 patients came back and said the physio told me stop coming to you. I said, well, I just referred. So right again, there's greed and there's arrogance to me that I should do everything. And meanwhile, I had referred these 3 people. So I had a straight chiro office. I said, this is how I started the multidisciplinary. I said, you know what? Forget this. I put an ad in the paper. I took a pay cut. I was taking my money. I had to pay this physio at the time. It was probably about $3,000 to $4,000 a month. So I took $3,000 or $4,000 a month out of my pay to make sure I built that part of my business. So I took a hit for a while personally, built up that clientele, built up that physio department, and put it in my office and said, I don't have to refer out now. If I need a physio, he's sitting down the hall or she's sitting down the hall. And then I just kept going that way. Right. But again, you have to have the confidence to say, I'm going to refer out. And then, that person that I referred to obviously didn't have the confidence to let me continue what I was doing. Right. But a lot of chiros are that way as well. So I didn't take it personally. I just said, where's the problem? I'll put a fix to it. I could have went and blasted the physio. No, waste of my time. Right.
Real quick. So do you think that multidisciplinary, how do you say it?
Multidisciplinary.
Yep. Is the way to go. I'll just that one is the way to go. Or do you think that you could build your chiropractic practice big enough if it was just you? Like what would be the ways that you think would be
you can do
were all of yours multidisciplinary?
The first one started out straight chiro, but it got quite large, just chiro. Okay. But you could build straight chiro. Trust me. It's not, again, it's It's like this chiropractic. I think at the time I graduated, they said there's 32 different accredited techniques, and we all use those different techniques. And hey, we all build successful businesses, right? Different ways of doing it, but we can all build. I could be Gonstead, I could be Diversified, I could be Activator, and the Gonstead guy is going to be like, how's the Activator guy so busy? That technique's crazy. No, it doesn't matter. Again, we're back to your message. What's your message? Your technique is how it's a vehicle to treat people. Your message is what people come in for. So whether I have physio, massage, whatever, that's a vehicle. But I could have 5 different chiros working in there that I've built up all chiropractic patients if I'm putting that message out strong enough to do that. Right. And if I'm networking with who I need to network, again, I would network to who's going to feed what I built. You attract what you want. So that goes from patient. So I said this before, I wanted patients 25, again, be specific in your message. I wanted patients 25 to 60 years old, employed, had insurance, and had somewhere to work, because I didn't want people coming in and speaking to me for half an hour. Not that that's a bad thing if you want that, but I knew I wanted a higher volume. So people that basically professionals want to come in, they want to move, they want to pay, and they actually appreciate good service, because they're like, boom, you service me well, and you service me quick, and I'm on to my business in life. That was who I wanted. If you come in my office, you will see very little children and you will see very little elderly people, because for me, they take more time, they're slow, it takes more energy out of me. That's my personality. If you want a pediatric clinic, then you're going to market to kids, and you can have an office full of kids, and that's your message, and that's perfectly fine. It's just a different way. It's just like having physio or pediatric. It's all different ways of doing it. Your message is what builds you, and your passion to your message is what builds you, your commitment to your message, and your action. If you're continually taking action and it's only chiropractic, you will continue to build chiropractically. Right.
And when you were building that and bringing on the other people in your practice, did you convey that message to them, make sure that they were on board with your message, even though their business was a little bit of their own business?
Have to. Yeah, you can't be butting heads in your office. So you have to, again, honesty. You got to sit down. What's your message? Because if they're practicing under you and they don't believe in what you're saying,
Right.
that relationship doesn't work. You're divorced, right? You're going to work every day arguing like, oh, the staff should have said this, the staff should have said that, my patient shouldn't have saw you, they should have saw me instead that day. All of that stuff. The 2 chiros in my office, we see all each other's patients whenever, and that way when I go on holidays, my patient is so used to seeing the other guys whenever. And I'm a heavy hitter, so I adjust very strongly. I'm a diversified, and I adjust quite strongly. There's another gentleman in our office, very, very gentle, more activator, but gentle. And then there's one in between. And almost everybody comes in and they're like, that's too strong. I go, well, I got 2 more guys for you to check out that still believe in what we're doing. And I just shove them over there and say, hey, this guy's better for you. Confidence again. But what? They're still in my office. They're still hearing my message. And I didn't lose them to the guy down the street. I serviced them. We're service industry. Service, right?
Which is so key, so key. And it's not to say that you're not, going for the money or the profits. Obviously, you built very financially successful businesses, but by focusing not on the profits and not so much on the money coming in as the first piece, you obviously need to focus on that as well. But as the first piece being the great service, the message, making sure that you were working on the people that aligned with you and who you were. And all of that is, just so key. And, that's one of the things, like some people are like, oh, but, I don't want to alienate this type of person or this person, but you're better off doing that. It doesn't mean that you'll never get one in your office. It just means if you can really speak to that one person, like that busy person, they're going to appreciate what you have to say and align with it.
You will attract and align, because even if you get that patient that doesn't fit in, they feel it. Like they're in the office and they're seeing 4 people go in and out by the time they took your time. And don't get me wrong, if they need it, I give it to them. I'm not saying I'm rushing. Okay. I went to Parker And again, when I was young, I did not pay attention to what Jim Parker taught as much. I was paying attention. I got to do my biology. I got to do this. I got to do that. He used to always push present time consciousness. So I didn't even understand that time. What is this guy talking about? Present time consciousness. Well, now that I'm in practice, I have patients that it's a high volume, but if you go on my reviews and people talk, they're like, I'm so like your passion for your business is amazing. And then on all our reviews, it's like how much time we spent with them and how great the staff is. And it's all about how great we are. Because even though I was 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, I concentrate on that patient. I listened to them. And then I treated them and I kept them moving at my pace, but they felt like they were there for a long time because I was present with them. I spent the time necessary time with them. I was conscious of what they're saying. And the patient, it's amazing. The patient feels like he
Feels.
and every time. And I was in it when I was young of dancing around and trying to spend a half hour and rubbing people down and stretching them and doing this and doing that, trying to stretch them. And they would come out and complain, oh, he didn't fix me. I go, oh my gosh, it's because I'm not there. I'm not present, right? I'm trying to do everything, and can you fix me here? Fix
Be
me.
everyone forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I can't explain how detrimental that is to your practice. But again, you got to commit to your message and commit to how you're going to do it.
That was a super nugget, right? Gold nugget right there is not trying to be everything, because by doing that, you were actually diminishing how, you're the one thing that you're really great at, you weren't
Yeah.
doing it as well.
Yeah.
I love that.
I would get patients come in and say, can you give me a deal? Can you do this? And what I learned is, now don't get me wrong, I will sit down with people that truly need it. And again, service. I had one lady, she was an elderly lady. I knew financially she didn't was struggling. She was in a car accident at the time, ran out of her insurance. I treated a car accident, thousands of dollars there. I probably treated her for free for about 8 to 9 years after that, because she didn't. And she would come every day and tell me, like, God bless you, like nobody else will do this. I would say, Josie, I'm not starving, I'm not starving here. Like, so I would interview people and really decide who I felt needed what, and I could do things. But people would come in and try and make a deal, this and that. And then what I found is, you say, yeah, didn't really need it or did appreciate it. And then I'll refer you 10 people and I'll ask them for a deal. And I go, now my office full of people don't want to pay me for my service. That is insane. Don't do it. Don't try and impress everybody that comes from the office. This is our procedure. This is what we do. This is our value. We have some of the highest value on the planet. I'll be honest. We're undervalued. And this is our value. Do not give it away because you're trying to impress people and build. Building your
Always say that.
practice.
Yeah. Don't try to specialize or I don't know, get people based on price. You're never going to win.
You can't.
It's never going to be good for you or them.
Yeah. And everybody's in a rush. So think of your message as like compound interest. It starts very slow and you're sweating at the beginning. If you're starting out on your own, you're like, where's people? But if you stick to what you're doing, it builds. And then all of a sudden you get to a point where you're not even out marketing your practice as much as just sending your message out to everyone that you come in contact with, and your office is exploding. And it's compound interest over time. It gets bigger and bigger because your network gets bigger. A lot of people say your net worth is your network, and this is so true. So, but you will build a network if you're not telling them what you want and being honest about it, and not in your face pushy. Just, this is what I believe, this is what I do, and this is what I stick to at all times. Right? It will grow. Okay, it just takes some time. Right? But if you stick to
I love it.
The more action you take, the faster it grows. So there's your speed to the market. You need speed to market, because most businesses fail due to lack of speed to the market. So your speed to the market comes with constantly taking action. So a lot of chiros out there went into debt $200,000 and now they're a firefighter, or they're working for an insurance company and they're depressed and miserable because they're 200 grand in debt, or they're in their own office and created a job for 70,000 a year in their own office with 200,000 in debt, and you might as well went and worked in an office with no debt. I feel terrible for these people. I honestly do. That's why I'm on this, because that's a shame.
And that is that happens way more often than the very successful, 1 million, $2 million dollar practices.
Average practice.
And that's, yeah, people ask me why I focus on chiropractors. There's so much potential there.
Yeah.
Like there's so much that they can build and do with what they have. And, most of them are open to it. They just don't know how to do it because business wasn't what they studied.
I won't say I haven't done my own research, but I was talking to Dr. Mancini a few weeks back, and he actually said, so he said did the research, but he said chiros out of all health professions come out the most indebted. And I think that's insane, because if we're coming out the most indebted, and we actually have the hardest business to build, because, I told you part of what I'm doing, my mission has changed. I'm actually getting rid of some of my practices. I'm staying to my main one, but I've unloaded some of my practices and I'm looking at my restaurant, because my mission has changed now to, we really have to spread the word of chiropractic and what it does. And it should be your first line of defense or your first health choice. And because it truly is preventative medicine. Chiropractic, nutrition, and exercise is how the body will naturally heal itself. There's more and more and more research coming to this conclusion. I think chiropractic's so far ahead of its time. Again, we've been almost angry in our profession because we understand it, no one else does, and we put down and we blame the medical world. But the problem is they haven't had the tools to measure what we do. But more and more science is coming out to start, and they're starting to measure this stuff. And nutrition is actually ahead of us because they can measure that more. But it all goes together, because if your nervous system is not functioning properly, you can't absorb that nutrition. You can't display that nutrition to the organs and the rest of the body. And then exercise, the entire body is made up of cells and energy, and that's how it functions, and it gets it through nutrition. And then exercise, what do? You want to change your, from a solid state to a gas state. You heat it up and you move it. There's your massive action. You want to take your practice and move it up, heat it up, move. Life works like that, right?
Absolutely.
So chiropractic is going to be a lot bigger force, and I think social media is how we're going to get that message out. And my new mission now is to really, get chiropractors to unite for the first time, because we have a platform. We've had these individuals in the past fighting for chiro, these doctors saying the message one time here. They've got no way to talk to more than a room full of people, right? They got 180 people in the room, and that's who they're talking to. Right now, the way you and I are talking, first time in the history of profession, if we all unite as a profession, we will have a voice that we've never had before. So my mission is to build individual chiropractic offices and to pool everybody together to start putting out our message and to put it out to the world to grow it. Much bigger mission. So
through media, right?
Yeah, I'm working on something there. I mean, we talked about that a little bit. So, since about a year ago, I really looked at this, and then I've had an opportunity to help develop a technology that, is, we call it Atom. So it's been functioning for a little while now. We've got some clients on it, and the thing's amazing. It's going to revolutionize how we market chiropractic. It's going to revolutionize how you market your individual practice. So, it's an automated marketing system, and it really gives a voice to people, but it's really going to help market. It's just amazing every time we turn this thing on and let it go. It's a technology that is created to leverage social media, and most people, the algorithm is deciding who gets seen and whose voice gets heard, and it will decide who gets moved up the platform, who gets moved up the feed. And the higher you go up the feed, the more eyes on you, and they're basically, it's like having a stage, and now you can voice your message. So our system actually works the opposite. It starts directing the algorithm. So now people think the algorithm is a person that decides what on social media is important. It's not a person, it's a computer program that's looking for what people are paying attention to and what's important. And then what it sees other people are paying attention to, it moves it up the feed. So our system is designed to do that. And the algorithm will have to take notice. And I'm going to take that chiropractic message, and we're going to have the algorithm, we can direct it. And all of a sudden, people will have more eyes on them. So it'll grow individual practices as I want. and it will also help chiropractors, get their voice out there. So that's been so exciting to me. It's just amazing. This thing, it is going to revolutionize how we market to people. So, I didn't really want to talk about that too much. I want to talk about how to build that business. But if you wanted to go check that out, that's at jammedia.buzz. And you could click on find out more. There's a button on there, find out more, and that'll take you right to the Chiro page, and it will let you kind of get a glimpse of what Adam does, and phone numbers and emails are on there. I would love for you just to reach out and let me know what you think about it, because it's completely different from anything else on the market. It operates completely different from anything on the market. So people might see it and get a vision of what they think it is, and you have no idea what it is until you talk to me. Basically, it will kind of get into it on the website, but so excited about that. It's insane, this thing.
Okay. I think it's an awesome, I love that so you've reached a point in your life where you've been very successful at growing your businesses at what you do, but you still have that internal message of, I really want to get this word out about, chiropractic medicine and or chiropractic practice and how it really can make the world a better place. And so now, as your next step, or as you're moving forward, you are still kind of leaning into that, just expanding and helping other people do it too. And I think it's going to be very, very powerful once you get it going. I'm going to stick in the comments the link, jammedia.buzz.
Yep, BUZZ.
In the comment link, but otherwise, getting in touch with you is the best way if they want to just talk about it. Let's recap real quick.
Yeah, if you even connect through my LinkedIn, Dr. Eric Dawtrey, right? I would love to talk to people about it, because it really, even when you go on there, I'm trying to perfect it a little bit more. It's operational. We got clients on it, and what it does is crazy. Because what it does, people don't understand. They're going into marketing, and they might have a certain amount of followers in marketing, and that's all they're speaking to. Where what this does is different. It directs that algorithm, but we're getting clients on it that have X amount of followers, but they're getting more views than followers, which means they're bringing new eyes to it, which is what chiropractic business growth is, right? People are lost in these marketing companies that put it out there. They just throw something out. They hope it does something, but really it's just us keeping a relationship with existing clients, which is important, which is nice. Ours grows practices because it gets more eyes on it. It gets more eyes on you. It gets more eyes on the profession. But, we do geotag everything in it. So people in your local area, if you're on board with us, they will find your office. So anyways, it's incredible, but it's completely different. People go on and they lump it into what's going on until you talk to me and I really explain how it functions. Then you have no idea, because it's completely different from anything else on the market. It really is. Yeah, you can't find it anywhere else, and you can't find it for what we're actually retailing it for. It's insane, the value of this thing.
That's awesome. All right. So love having this conversation with you. I just want to recap really quickly. So some of the big secrets that you laid out were definitely focus in on your message, prioritize, make sure you commit and take action, work on building those relationships, networking, and be aware of and start combating your own fears through that action.
Yeah, you won't take action if you're fear. And as we said before, you will find yourself reading, planning, writing things, sitting in your office, telling your staff what to do. You will do anything, but do what you're supposed to be doing. That is fear. And just recognize it right away. It's procrastination. Procrastination comes from fear. So as soon as you're in your office and you're not spewing your message somewhere, sit back and say, I'm off target. Recognize it. People don't recognize it. They keep filling more BS on BS. And, well, they do. And then they blame everyone else. They blame everyone else.
To every profession and every business.
Yeah. All business is the same. That's what people don't understand. It's not about chiropractic. This is business, right?
Exactly.
And your business, you will have to do the same in every business. If you are not taking action, you are in trouble, and you're giving into your fears.
I love that. I love that. And I think everybody listening can hear the passion in your voice about the industry, about business and everything else. So thank you so much for joining us today, and having this
Actually, I really
interview.
enjoyed it. I appreciate the platform. I really enjoyed it, and I hope someone gets something out of this. And then honestly, reach out to me. I'm more than willing to have conversations with anyone, even someone struggling. If you want to bounce out, I've got nothing to get out of it. If you're really struggling, then it's going to be a deep dive. Though I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to let you give me your excuses. I'm really going to push you. Like, I'm going to say, what are you doing?
Call you out on it.
Yeah, because it's the only way. I'm sorry, it's the only way, right? If you're failing, it's your fault. I'm not gonna lie. So
100%. The
yeah,
bottleneck in every business starts right at the top.
yeah. My grandmother always says the fish stinks from the head down, right? So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So she's 97, still going, but these are her words of advice, right?
That's
So
awesome.
it's all true.
It is so true. All right. Well, everyone, have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
And
Bye,
we will
Erica.
be back. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.